Okay, so here we're working on a 93 E350 Ford conversion mini camper. A lot of fun to work on these things. Came in presented with 4 different issues, and the first one we had is the vehicle would intermittently not start. Well, we got rid of the Walmart battery and we put a Ford battery back in there when it called for. Was a BXT 65850. Made sure the cables were in good shape as far as they weren't cut or spliced, and we also ended up having to replace a starter relay. Starter relay is right down there, so that was our issue with no starting, and we put a new battery in it. You notice we cleaned the cables really good, put terminal pads on it. We've made sure everything was put back the way it was supposed to be. I'd like to replace the cables, but it's quite an expensive chore on this vehicle. And here we're installing that ignition cable set from Ford onto a 7.5 liter V8. And you'll notice there's the coil wire. We're going to replace that also. And it's got a little bit of protective coating on it right there. This little plastic housing, we're going to replace all that with a new one. But we've got the new cables installed. We've already installed new spark plugs. And you notice the one thing I forgot to mention in the other video, up top where there's really not a lot of heat to deal with, these are all flexible tubing. This is all the split loom flexible tubing. We just put tie straps on it to kind of hold them in place, so that as they go down and around behind the compressor, you can see they kind of run all together, but they're going to be protected from each other. Same thing on the other side. They kind of go back down around the side of the valve cover and disappear down there, but they're all back in the protective harness. They're all protected from rubbing on top of each other. And so this is the top portion that you can see. This one had to be made easier because we had some of the other components up out of our way. Air tube intake, we had to pull the throttle body apart, get that all cleaned up in there, replace the idle speed control motor, which is that silver mounting right there. And so we're putting the ignition wires and spark plugs back in there while it's all still apart. Obviously it's a lot easier, and it's the only way to get to it. I'll take you around the side of the truck here and show you. This is the ignition wires, and the new spark plugs are already installed. And you'll notice how they kind of rub up against the, I think that's the coil housing. You don't want that. That's what will ruin the top of that. Where am I at? There we go. Right there where it rubs. Goes up underneath there and it rubs on this metal bracket. And right here, you've got an exhaust pipe for the EGR. It's got a heat shield on it, but right next to it is a plug wire. And you'll notice how close that runs. It's not actually touching, but that thing, I guarantee you don't want to stick your finger in there when it's running. It's going to get so hot. And that's what destroys your plug wires. And you'll notice right behind there, you can kind of see, well, maybe you can. You see part of the coil, or part of the spark plug down in there. That's that white piece. Right down just above the bolt head. So all those are installed. We've got the ignition wires routed back correctly inside the truck. I believe the other side is completed also. So here, this is the easy side. There's your plug wire, and you'll notice it goes up underneath this, and now it's chafing on these components right here as the engine vibrates back and forth. That's why we have the insulators. And then back here is the hard insulation all the way down to the end because of the heat and because of the chafing. So we're protected, and it's all routed back the way it was from Ford. So you see part of the wires up there, they disappear underneath there. And then we've got all this stuff all back along the side, new plugs and new plug wires. These were almost 20 years old and about 50 or 60,000 miles. So just to show you what it looks like when we do it here at Beechnut Auto Repair. It takes about 3 to 4 hours to do this, start to finish, on your plugs and wires. And all the covers and everything inside the vehicle have to come off so you can get to the back of the engine. And then you can access part of the plugs and wires back here. The rest of it's done from up top. in the front of the engine. Suggest you leave the vehicle set overnight. Don't attempt to work on any of this right before you go on vacation or right after you come back off the freeway. It is not a comfortable job. One of the ways that sometimes we do it is we will remove the two front seats and remove the center cowling. If you remove the seats, you can get in and around there instead of having to fight it like we're doing here. But my helper that's helping me with this job is a lot smaller than I am. He's about 5 foot nothing. And on this E350, he's able to get in there and do exactly what he needs to do to make sure those are routed correctly. Now he's going to start putting the rest of the stuff all back together. And if we did our job right, surprise, surprise, I think it'll start. And it might go another 30 or 40 or 50,000 miles down the road without any problems from the plugs or plug wires. You should replace on this particular vehicle, these are copper tip plugs. They should be replaced every 2 years. If you go back with the Platinum, you might be able to get 4 years out of them, but between 2 and 4 years, it's going to depend on how many miles you drive. A lot of highway miles, you can get 4 years out of them. Good super unleaded from Chevron and Texaco fuel. And that will ensure the ignition system fires correctly, makes it easier for it to fire, and eliminates repeat repair trips to the repair shop. So this is Ray at Beechnut Auto Repair, your Ford doctor, working on another Ford. Thank you, and have a great evening. Again, you can reach us at 281-933-6603. My name is Ray, and this is the Ford Doctor, showing you another simple repair procedure that's simple but time-consuming. Have a great day.